What is up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB, and I fucked up. This is my 31 days of horror movie reviews, and I fucked up because I thought, wow, I took a chance and I watched The Fly, the original 1958 film, and I was pleasantly surprised over how much I enjoyed it. So then I impromptu said, fuck it, let's watch the sequel, The Return of the Fly. And I didn't hate that movie either. I thought there was a lot of good things about that sequel. So I decided, upon research, I saw that there was a third movie called The Curse of the Fly. And I took the chance once again and I said, well, how bad could this one be? Given the first two. And I watched it. It's a 1965 film that was directed by Don Sharp. And I did not like this movie at all. Like, I'm struggling to find anything good to say about this movie. So I don't think I noticed or I paid attention to the fact that 20th Century Fox was the studio that has been putting out all of these movies. So I shouldn't be so surprised that they were desperate to just shell out as many sequels as they can. Even a sequel like this that just doesn't make any goddamn sense. Given the timeline of the original film, given the continuity, given how much this doesn't make sense at all in connection to the previous films. I mentioned before how the budget for the original movie was $500,000, and then the sequel was like half that, $225,000. This one is only $90,000, and I know we're talking about the 60s. I'm not saying I was expecting these to be in the millions, but to see how gradually it's declining in budget kind of is representative on screen as well. But it's the script. The script is the worst thing about this movie, in my humble opinion. So the plot is we have Patricia, played by Carol Gray. And at the very beginning of the movie, you see her breaking out of a mental institution. She breaks through the window, and she's running away, and she's escaping this place. Now, we don't know exactly how bad this hospital could have been to her. Did they treat her bad? Were they horrible people? How crazy is she? There's a lot of things unanswered as far as any of that goes. But Patricia escapes and she's running outside on the road and she comes across this guy in his car, Martin, played by George Baker. And he just so happens to be the grandson of Andre from the first movie, the original scientist, Vincent Price's brother. So he's the grandson of that guy, and him and his father are continuing the experiments because of course they are. Why not? And they've actually progressed the experiments to the point where they have been successfully transporting people from either like out of the country. Like, it seems like they're doing a pretty good job. Only to find out that no, there's been a lot of trial and error along the way. There's been a few human experiments that have morphed and deformed, and they're grotesque monsters at this point that they're keeping in like the basement, and at some point they get loose, and I know what you're thinking. This sounds weird and out there and crazy. And it is. And maybe there are people out there, older people who would have been alive during this time, who saw this movie, and maybe they liked it. Maybe you're somebody who, even a younger age, you watch it now, and you'll enjoy it more than I did, or you'll appreciate that they were going for something different, I guess. But I was bored to tears, is my number one thing, as far as that's the cardinal sin. You can't have one of these horror films, or just any movie, and have me bored. If I'm bored, there's a problem. If I could watch the first two movies and not be bored, then I know it's not me. I know it's not me just being impatient. I know it's not me being closed minded. I know it's not me saying, oh, it's a black and white movie, so I can't get into it. No, I've done this. And this one just didn't have good characters, didn't have interesting characters. Patricia, she's not a horrible character, but the problem is that you start her off with, like, oh, she's an escaped mental patient. Like, there has to be some interesting stuff there. But when she winds up at this place with Martin, and the two of them quickly fall in love. I get that she's attractive, but it's like, goddamn, guys, it's been like 2 days, and he's already proposing to her. I'm like, what is this, Pretty Woman? Like, he doesn't know who she is. He brings her into his home. She doesn't have to work. He pays for everything. He's taking care of her. He's pampering her. They fall in love, and they're going to get married. And you're like, wow. Even when the people at the hospital come to his house saying that they're looking for her, that she is a patient there, that she did have mental problems that she was working through. He doesn't care. In fact, he defends her and is willing to sign off any waiver for them to come after her. And like, at first I'm like, why did we even do this whole mental hospital angle in the first place with her? She could have just been somebody driving on the road. Maybe her tire flattens out and she runs into him. The whole angle of her being from a mental hospital doesn't even really make sense because she doesn't act crazy throughout the entire movie. She's not unstable. She's not freaking out. There's no point where you're saying, oh, that's why she was there at the hospital. She really shouldn't be out. In fact, as normal as she was, it makes it seem like she had no business being at that hospital, that they were keeping her against her will. But that's just me projecting because none of that is said out loud. The only angle on her potentially being crazy is that when the people in this house try to gaslight her into thinking that she didn't see mutated, gross looking people in the basement, or that she didn't catch the Chinese maid going around and doing stuff behind their back, and she tries to tell the fiance and nobody believes her because the Chinese lady denies it, and so they're trying to gaslight into her that she's crazy, but like, she's not lying and she's not crazy. So the crazy part of her character is not played up or not really brought into effect at all. And I don't know if that's a script problem or the actor's problem or the director's problem or a combination of the three. George Baker as Martin, I mean, like, whatever, I guess he's fine. He has this whole thing where, because there have been experiments, and I don't know if this is because of the experiments or if it's because of the bloodline of them coming from the original scientists, that Martin, like, over time, if he doesn't take this medicine, he turns into this creepy, skin riddled, like, he could die eventually. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. He's working with his father, Brian Donlevy, who plays Henry. Henry is supposedly the son of Andre, the scientist from the first movie. But we met Andre's son, Philippe. And that's the only son that he had, because then the sequel follows a grown-up Philippe. So where the fuck is Philippe? Philippe isn't even mentioned in this movie. Why? Why couldn't this be like Philippe's son? Why are they retconning, disregarding, or just forgetting that whole part of it? And you can't even say that, oh, maybe they're just changing the name of the son, because there was a whole ass sequel dealing with the son. So I don't know, that confused the fuck out of me. I'm sitting here and I'm hearing them talk about how this is this whole experiment with these machines, teleporting machines, has been 3 generations of their family, and I'm like, what are they talking about? And I had to look this up and see that, like, no, they just retconned a lot of this shit. Why? Why did Fox do this. This movie is only, what, 6 or 7 years after the original, and we're already messing with the timeline? I know it's at a point where maybe they thought people weren't watching movies as much, or the sequel wasn't as uh, much available for people to watch, so they thought they could get away with it. But that's just wild to me. I just thought that was terrible. That was awful. Also, like I mentioned, you find out that there's been these experiments on these other assistants, and they're all locked away in these like basement room type things, and they're all like gross looking. One of them has like their eye covered, the other one looks like he's big and brooding, and then there's one woman, Judith, who I think may have been the previous lover of Martin. They didn't really get too much into it, but I guess he experimented on her too, and it went horribly wrong, and she now has like a gross looking arm, and she has like a two-faced looking half face where and she's kind of out of it. She doesn't speak, she's crazy, and all of that's weird, right? All of that, yes, is very, very weird. But what's weirder is that you have these Asian, the help, I guess. One of them is actively working in the lab, experiments and whatnot, one of the Chinese dudes. But you have this Chinese woman named Wan, who is played by Yvette Rees. And I say Chinese in quotations because this actress is not Chinese. The actor is Chinese, the other guy. I don't know why they couldn't get a Chinese woman to play the other role. This is clearly a white woman in Asian face. They have makeup on her to try to like slant her eyes, and she's wearing this robe and this horrible wig and flip-flops to try to look like this Asian woman. I'm like, this is the most offensive thing, and I'm not somebody who gets easily offended. Trust me, I'm not sitting here acting like, oh, I'm angry and I'm pissed. I didn't see it was unnecessary. There was no point of casting like this. Oh, it's the 60s and that's what they did. That doesn't make it right. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. It's just as fucked up if I saw some white person in blackface pretend to be a black character in this movie, which didn't happen. But if it did, it's just as fucked up. So that just took me out of it. I just couldn't get into that character at all. I was too fixated on how fake Asian looking that she looked. Terrible. Awful. There's an inspector character that's looking for Patricia. I guess that's the only reason why she's from that hospital. I just feel like there's a much smarter, easier, less complicated way they could have involved an inspector if they really felt like they had to. And there's a brother character. I guess Martin has a brother in London, and that's who they like teleport to back and forth. Whatever. The main thing, I have all of these issues. Boring, horrible pacing, not good acting, terrible writing, weird direction of this plot to deal so much with like the human aspect of the experiment and what it's turning into. But what's the most weird is that there's no fly in this movie at all. I know you could argue that, oh, it would have been too unrealistic. It would have been too over the top to have one of the characters turn into a fly. But the movie is called Curse of the Fly. I guess they're just talking about the curse of the experiments running in the family, that they all can't help but continue the experiments. But like, we're here to see a fucking human fly. This is some bullshit. I got like an hour and 10 minutes in before I kind of looked around. There was only like 10 minutes left after that. And I said, there really isn't going to be a fucking fly in this movie, is there? And there wasn't. This ending was lame as fuck. This whole movie was lame as fuck. What a waste of time I felt like I put myself through. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below if you saw Curse of the Fly, or have you even heard of this goddamn sequel. What did you think of it? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later. Please won't you save my desire?